Hey YouTube, what's up? Got some more photos to share with you. So, since the last outing, I went out probably a day or two later, and just brought the 400 millimeter with me, just to try to focus on a certain spot under the sun. So anyway, this is basically what it looks like on the camera without any exposure corrections at all. I mean, you don't see much. You see the light of the sun up here. But once you bring this into Light Shop or Lightroom and start playing with it a little bit more, you can bring things out like that guy right there. And again, you don't see that in the viewfinder, so it is not a lens flare. It's not a visible lens flare. It's just it doesn't appear through the viewfinder at all. So it's interesting. You also got something up there. Let's see if I can. So you got this and this. So it's either a camera artifact or it's a real object in space. And it's unfortunate these cameras, when you point them at the sun, you're just going to have to deal with flaring, ghosting, and artifacts. There's really no good way around that. This object has been so consistent month after month, I have to continue to examine it. So what I did is started to look at the atmosphere around the image to see if there are any telltales. And again, I'll show you another example. Depending on the exposure, you could see a little bit more. That's an original there. Here's the sun. Sun up here is out of the frame, but you could see the object here. What's interesting about the object also is that it appears to be behind the environment. It's very pale. It's very diffused. It looks like it is, behind our atmosphere. I mean, you're cutting through a lot of visual obstruction there. So what I decided to look at with filters is this area here. I've noticed this object, whatever it is, has an additional atmosphere. You can see clearly right here when I bring the reds out. It's pronounced. It's around the object itself. It's here. It's one-sided. Later on, you'll see it. It'll change. Let's see what this guy is. Yeah, again, not too much filter here, but you can see what I'm talking about. The sun up here. This is faintly visible in the atmosphere. Looks like a lot of haze that is between the camera and the object. Again, it's not a lens flare because that is not viewable in the viewfinder. There's a different filter. Again, we have this red here. This it stops right here, interestingly enough, pretty much right over the object. Here's that other interesting anomaly I had last outing as well. I'm not sure what that is, but it showed up more than a few times. And again, this is what the camera sees. To look at it, it's like, oh, okay, I guess there's nothing there. So until you can bring it into a program such as Lightroom and begin to play with the exposures up and down, things don't show up for you. It's not a naked eye object right now, assuming it's not a artifact. So anyway, let me move on to some of the filters I ran. And again, you have your object. There's also some moons or orbitals that appear and disappear around this object. So that also tells me that it's a true object in space. But what I'm most interested in are why do these reds show up around the object? What is it about the environment or atmosphere that that this filtered red it keeps showing up? Frame, and it changes too. I mean, it does change. From that frame to that frame, it changed. You can see it kind of around there. And it changed again, kind of seems to be evening out on both sides now. We have an orbital right here that just showed up. Wow, I didn't notice that. So we got an orbital now that popped over on that side. So you got one here, next frame, boom, right there, something up there. Let's move on to the next frame. Interesting. We got something up here as well. This guy here. But again, the red filter brings out some kind of atmosphere, some kind of dusty environment that's out there, which makes me believe that it's not a lens apparition. I mean, that would be impossible, right? And again, it's very consistent. Now, you could see it's moved. It's more evenly spread right here. Here's the object. You have the red and the red on both sides now. But if you go back and look at this guy, I mean, it was on one side, going off to my right as I look at the screen. Let me move on. I think I left off around about here. So yeah, again, you can see, what started over here is now pretty evenly dispersed. Again, the sun is up here out of frame, or just barely out of frame. Now, I will admit some of this stuff, cottonwoods are still flying, so some of those are cottonwoods. I'll say some are not as well. And here's an original photograph. Again, that doesn't show up as you look through the viewfinder. Now, when you take the picture on the viewing plate of the camera in the back, you do see something. You can't quite make it out. All these up here are cottonwoods. Bluer filter. And let's see what else. Okay, this is a different look here with some other filtering. And again, you can see there's a lot of red there. Comes off over this way. It's down around in here. Go on to the next one. This is probably, this is a better one. Now it's evenly distributed here. And there's a lot of it, whatever it is. Almost looks like two wings. And it kind of falls off down here. Looks to be very much part of the environment of this object. I mean, you can see it coming off as if it was a heat source. And again, pretty much evenly distributed as you go up around the sun up here. You don't see it, so that's why I'm taking a harder look at this. I mean, that looks like a debris field of some sort. And it's ever changing, which is what you would expect. I mean, just from that frame to that frame, you could see, boom, Boom, kind of a little bit more around there. A little bit more yellow in this one. But again, you can see it bends around the object, and the heavier part is right there in the center of the object. Again, that's what the camera saw. I can't even see if there's anything on that frame at all. What's nice with Lightroom is you can, if you're in develop mode, you can let's see, where is it? Settings. If I copy settings, copy all those. If I go on to the next frame, I can easily say settings, paste, and use a lot of the filters from the previous, and you see how that just pops right in there. With the original photograph, you saw nothing, and then with the proper filtering, you see quite a bit more than nothing. I also seem to have a little bit of a smokestack effect up here at times on this object. There it is again. And again, that's the original. That's what the camera saw. That's what I saw when I first hooked it up to the PC. But the filters do a great job of bringing things out in the background. Boom, and there it is. And now you can see the heavier debris. It seems to have kind of dropped a little lower on the object. It seems to be clearer up here, and the winged look is more towards the bottom than it was a few frames back. See up here, it's more towards the top. So definitely ever changing. There we go again, and I set the filters to bring out more of the red. And we'll go back to, there's an original. And with the naked eye, you see zero. You don't see anything. You just see a diffused sky. And there she blows right there. Brightness. You can see the red-orange, a little heavier on this side. Falls off down there. Next frame seemed to shift. There's a different filter here, but I don't know how well it's showing up on the YouTube translation, but you can see the pinkish tint right around here and here. Kind of comes up from here, comes in front of the object. There's a little bit down there. I don't know if I can adjust it on the fly here, but it's definitely in front and surrounding the object and nowhere else to be found. There's another one that let's just paste the settings in there. Settings, paste. Let's go a little darker. Again, if I take all the black out, you could still see, you know, how it forms those two wings, very thick around the center of the object, lighter, less on top, a little less on the bottom, but overall quite a bit surrounding the object. And again, you get different filters, some pink out here and here. Let's see if I bring the contrast down a little. Exposure. Oops. Yeah. So you can see the pink right around the object and in front of it. And that's a different look. You must have two bands, a lower band, kind of a central band, and then it's a little lighter in the middle here and lighter on top. But still, you get that same winged, that bow. It's a little more surrounded to the top, open on the bottom. So you can see it changes. It's I don't think it has anything to do with an artifact at all. I mean, that's a real environment that's showing up. May have an orbital there. And these do pop up around the object, and next frame they're gone. See, we have a lot of red here, and that's kind of bending down on this side. Here it is with pretty much all the black taken out, but you can see there's the heavy area spraying out that way. A little bit more, depending on whether I add or subtract red and orange. You see a little bit of a different look, but you can certainly see the span here to here centered around the object. And again, that's the original, and just for kicks, we'll paste settings in there, see what we get. A little more lopsided, a little more to the right. And let's see, let me pull this one up since I have a tree in there. Paste settings. I think that's maybe an infrared look. Now that the sun is lower at this point, obviously the object is closer to the horizon, so looks like the atmospheric effect is lower to the bottom of the object. See what else we got here. Suppose it'd be nice to have the tree eclipse the object just to see, to make sure it doesn't show up on top of it. It's kind of an interesting one. Orbital, orbital, orbital. There just seems to be a lot of debris surrounding this object from what I can see. Yeah, let me apply the filters and see what that looks like. Paste. can also see that there's objects lighter on top, which if it's beneath the sun, that makes sense. So yeah, that's about it, guys. There does seem to be some type of environment around this object, which that would be impossible if it's a camera anomaly of any sort. And it moves, it's ever changing, so it gives you a different look from frame to frame. There are also orbitals around this object. There's and there are two prominent ones. So, I'll keep looking. I'll keep at this. I suppose a good test would be is to create an intentional lens flare and bring it into the filtering and see if that type of atmospheric look shows up on a lens flare. Does the lens flare affect the pixels that surround it in a similar manner? So I'll give that a look at, and I'll post it next outing. All right, guys, take care. Bye.